Welcome to the Transform Sales Podcast, where forward-thinking business leaders come to share their experiences and ideas, learn from each other, and amplify their results together.
Welcome to another episode of the Transform Sales Podcast. I'm today with Steve, founder of ProspectStream. Steve, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Eddie.
Awesome. It's great to have you on another episode of the Sales Software Review series. And today we're going to talk about ProspectStream, which is a solution for B2B sales leaders in insurance and finance companies that want to better manage their sales process. Tell us a little bit about ProspectStream, Steve.
Well, I think that anybody in sales is familiar with the term CRM. Mm-hmm. It's an old technology, Eddie. It's been around since the 80s and hasn't really changed that much. What we represent is that next evolution of sales automation. We call it a sales process manager. Mm-hmm. So it's managing the entire sales process. It's a proactive tool that helps the salesperson make better decisions in their day-to-day work, delivers a sales plan to them based on their goals, and most importantly, gives the sales manager total visibility into everything that's being done.
It's amazing. It sounds like it's a co-pilot for the sales rep, and it gives clear visibility, like a heads-up display for the managers. Now, you already answered a couple of the questions that I have here. What alternatives were your customers, or what were they using before ProspectStream? You mentioned CRM, right, as the antiquated or the status quo way, right?
Yeah. It's a funny answer. Actually, the most common tool is Excel. Sadly, even salespeople that have CRMs, and the biggest name in CRMs, that the users of that use the most Excel spreadsheets, oftentimes up to 5 different spreadsheets to help keep track of what they're doing, which of course eats up huge chunks of their day trying to care and feed for all of this technology. Numbers show that it's about a third of their day, and we're out to eliminate that time waste, through having an intelligent system that manages their day.
Gotcha. So that also answers what the challenges were. It's taking too much time to shift through the different tabs in the CRM, feed the data, try to get some analytics, build some reports around that. Seems like your platform really streamlines this process and gives them just the visibility that they need so they can take action. So why don't we go ahead and jump into a quick screen share where you show us what are some of these features that sales leaders really love about ProspectStream and helps them manage the process.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. Eddie, I'm the classic mad scientist. I'm excited about it, so I'm gonna tell you everything.
All right, let's go for it. Let's see it.
All right. So simple login. I won't go into depth in here, but we collect an enormous amount of data on the salespeople, the process, the message, the prospect that they're talking to, and this is how they start. They actually take a personality profile. But once they've done that, once they've got their, they've been using it for a while, this is what they see when they first log in. I used to run call centers, and I used to keep track of when people made their first dial for the day, and it could be an hour. If we start at 8:30, it might be 9:30 before they make their first call. And legitimately, they're trying to figure out what their top priorities are for the day. The question, who do I call? Who do I send an email to? What appointments do I have? What's hot? What proposals need to get done? It takes time. A CRM doesn't help you with that. You can put things in your calendar, but a calendar is optional. What we call the today list is not an option. This is what they do. This is their work. And we use, it's AI, it's predictive AI, but we're analyzing their database, what the priorities are, what work has to get done, and we're feeding it to them. So this is the cornerstone to the software. So much so that we call our AI Milton. And Milton will tell you what you need to do to be successful. So the salesperson puts their goals in the system, and Milton helps them achieve them. So you have 40 calls today. You got 4 appointments, 16 follow-ups. First appointment's at 10. You can get 10 calls in before that appointment. And then we don't want you running off to your emails or your voicemails. It's just a waste of time. So we're going to feed them to you. So any email that's in your database, you're going to get an alert. You're going to be able to open it, make a decision then, or push it into your today list for the appropriate time. So that's their day. They can go get all the reports they want, but why? Their job's to sell. So this is why this flashing green bar is here saying go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's
we
hard
want to go. Yeah. If starting time is 8:30, we want to make in that first call at 8:31, which they can do. So now Milton can pop in and out throughout the day and give them some help. He's always there available to advise, should I be calling? Should I be emailing? Those kind of questions they can help because we're tracking success patterns. And we'll go into great detail of, who the person that you're needing to reach out to, in this case, Mr. Craig Hendrick. And if there's a real Craig Hendrick out there, we apologize, but it's all fictitious. We're profiling this person and helping the salesperson, again, to make the best decisions. But very quickly, they can look at the history, everything that's gone on in the past with this person. They can even listen to past recordings, view data, look at the details. What we want to get to is the action. So, and we also, in tracking, we track all these times differently. So when you're in the review screen, that's a separate block of time. In order for the sales manager to diagnose the challenges that their team is faced with, they need to know this kind of data, and they've never had it before. So now I'm going in the action. I'm going to make a call. We now give you the phone number because this is when you need it, and this is when we're going to time. So I'm clicking the phone number I want to dial. If you've had it integrated into your VoIP system, which will integrate with most systems, it dials it for you, and it's even giving you a timer so that you can pace yourself. If you got 15 minutes with the person, you need to stay within 15 minutes. But now the screen changes. And by the way, all these panels are totally customizable. Everything in here is fully customizable. But the important thing here is that it also will give guidance. And this can be in a narrative. So if the young salesperson and they need a lot of help, you can give them every detail what they should be saying. Or you can make it just questions, yes or no type questions. Now, what you've seen there is as I click the answers, it's progressing through the guidance. And this is a dynamic tool. If the answer was no, it will take me into a different direction. So all through the call, I'm able to easily navigate. But here's the most important thing. Every time I click the screen in these panels, it's recording that I clicked the screen. So we're putting timestamps on all of this. So we know when you asked a question, if you asked a question, because that is relevant, again, to that diagnostics that the sales manager needs to do to help you get better and to improve the guidance. He also has objections and reference stories, everything they need to have a complete conversation. So I finished the conversation. It's going to ask me, and let me just pause and make a point. In a CRM, I'm not required to do anything. I can open it up. I can dial the phone off my cell phone, have a conversation, hang up, and just go into the next record. We don't do that. I cannot leave this record till I complete it. Now, there's a number of ways to leave the record, but we're recording and asking you, why are you leaving? In this case, are you done? Yes or no? Well, no, I'm not, because I had a conversation. I want to shoot off an email real quick. There are a number of templates for emails. In this case, based on where I'm at in the sales process, it's recommending this email, and it's already filled in the questions I didn't get answered. I can customize it, hit send. Question comes back up. Are you done? Yes, I am. Now, the hardest part for a salesperson, quite honestly, Eddie, is creating that history. It's usually a narrative. I got to type something in.
The notes.
Yes. And God help us, notes are not data. I can't apply AI to it. I can do generative AI, but in this case, that's of zero value. We need hard data. So what we do, and we call these intelligent outcomes. All they have to do is answer these couple of questions that it's going to ask you, and based on what you tell it, it's going to give you the next appropriate set of questions. So I'm going to just go through here and answer these questions. Now, this is the end of it, and I can, based on the outcome, it's going to have a recommended date. I cannot zero that out. I have to put a date in here. The only time I don't put a date is when I'm retiring the record, or I close the deal and it's not mine to do anything with anymore. A win. So I can send a calendar invite, but the bottom line is we're done. So as a salesperson, Eddie, I now consider you fully trained. You can step into the system now with it set up and do your work. That's how simple it is. Sessions completed. Hey, we moved it forward in the sales cycle, which it does automatically. And now we're ready to call Richard. And I just rinse and repeat.
Off to the next record. Yeah.
Yep. So if you're able to currently today, you're making 20 calls, outreaches a day, you'll do 60. I mean, that's how significant the improvement is. But not only will you do 60, but you'll do 60 very precise calls based on the best practices, the learning, what we call tribal learning. A young salesperson will ramp up much, much quicker. Our veteran salespeople complain to us that why couldn't they have this when they were first starting?
All right.
The trial and error is painful.
100%. It could have made so many things so much easier.
Absolutely. But, you mentioned Copilot. We like to consider ourselves the navigator.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't take control. You have total control of the system. You can bump out of this whenever you want. You're a salesperson. You're in total control. We just record it all, and we guide you. We recommend this path, and it's a common occurrence when the junior salespeople will take this and follow it to the letter. The sometimes more senior salespeople will kind of fight it a little bit because they know what's best. They're veterans, and that's fine. We learn from that. But what we found is over time, as it's adjusted, everybody's using it because it makes them more productive. It's easier. The boss has the data they need. They have the data that's going to make the salesperson successful, and everybody's happy.
I love it, Steve. And I want to bring it back to the point you just mentioned. We started the episode saying how the sales leaders in, let's say, a financial institution, a banking entity where you have some compliance processes, and the way you, let's say, qualify a prospect has to be very, very well on their, let's say, income level. Or let's think of an insurance company where they maybe other things that you have to ask in order, and the system is presenting you with that options. But not only that, so you just showed us from a dashboard perspective all the value for the user that's going to be the salesperson on the front line. But you also showed us all the data points that it's collecting, not just, hey, did you qualify and did you check the boxes? Yes, but rather, at what time did you check these boxes? In which order did you do it? How much do you hesitate between this one and that one? So that now, as a manager looking to control my process and improve it based on these data points, I can go ahead and take a look. Okay, between your second and third question, you're taking too long. How about we speed that up? So I can see how this starts to make a dent there. Do you have some information, maybe some reportings on how a sales leaders could look at these KPIs and maybe make some decisions? Or there some dashboards that they could take a look, like say reporting
Absolutely.
dashboard?
Absolutely. I just want to touch on, you mentioned the information available to the salesperson. So this is the panel library that's available to them, and this is all created by the company. They could have, I think the minimum is 4 panels, but you can there's no limit to the amount of data that you can collect. And another important thing, Eddie, similar to marketing software, if you're familiar with that, you create a marketing campaign, and in a campaign there's a target audience, there's a message, there's a time frame, there's behavior, there's actions, all those things that are relevant to understanding the prospect's behavior and trying to move them forward. Well, we incorporate the same idea here. So these are in campaigns. So you can see here it says campaign, life and home. If this was a different campaign, I'd have a totally different set of panels, message, everything. And the system keeps track of that for you. So when Richard comes up, I'm being given the correct conversation to have with him. As a salesperson, I don't need to figure out, what am I talking to him about? You could have 5 different campaigns, selling 5 different products to 5 different market segments. And it's managing all of that for me.
Right. Like very robust heads-up display. You're in the cockpit, and whoever you have in front of you, all your fields, your information changes, everything is at a glance, so you can have a meaningful conversation and just provide value from the get-go.
Correct.
Love it.
So I want to I'll touch on this. The manager also has their own view of things, and that's where the heavy reporting side comes in. So I can go through all my sales team and go into great detail in terms of what they're doing. I also can look at individual campaigns. So, for example, I can see who's based on what I want to track. And you could just say number of conversations today, number of records worked or attempts, whatever you want to call them, or sales generated, and it will real time track it for you. So we could spend a whole session, Eddie, just talking about the analytical parts to this.
Right.
So I want to look at a specific campaign. I can drill into all of this data because we're collecting it. And 90% of the data you see, we're collecting passively. So salesperson doesn't have to touch it. All they have to do is, you saw in guidance, just answer the questions. That's really the only requirement that they have in this process. And then if you want, if you've got a big sales team and you want to go drill into a specific team, you can do that. You can see. So if you got a virtual team, spread out over the country or the world, you can see what they're up to, and you can drill into these as well. Everything's got drill downs. So training is pre-planned, and we talked at the beginning about the personality profiles that the test assessments. Sorry, my profile people yell at me when I say test. Be assessment. So based on, we're not determining if you're able to be a good salesperson or not through that. What we're doing with that is saying, you have the propensity for these skill sets, and we're going to help to develop your weaknesses. And through that, we'll help you develop a training regimen, not for the whole team, for each individual salesperson, what they should get trained for when. And then with coaching, the biggest challenge for sales manager with coaching is diagnostics. How do I know why one salesperson is killing it and one person is getting killed? So how do I coach if I don't know what you're doing wrong? So we're going to tell them, here's where you're falling short. So the sales manager through their portal here can identify certain accounts. So if you've got one of those accounts coming up today, it'll put that in my own personal today list. Right here, the manager's today list. So it's going to tell me if I want to know a half hour before you're supposed to make that call, it's going to come up in mine, and I might walk out, come down to your office or your cube and say, hey, I know you got so-and-so to call today. And last time, here's some of the challenges. How are we going to deal with that? How are we going to make this a more successful call?
Let's prep. Yeah.
Yeah. It's those million things that sales managers need to keep track of. And it's those million things that a salesperson needs to be aware of and go get the help if they need it. And right now there's no tool on the market that will do that. Not even close. That's why we all have spreadsheets.
I love it. I love it, Steve. And it really shows, contrasting the perspective of what you showed us for the rep, how they just click go through the motions. It's a navigator. It's showing them all the options. They just have to click the right answers, what actions they took, what were the notes, what were the outcomes of the call, and everything gets documented. There's conversely, the other side of the manager, which is also that easy to use. Here are all your teams, what they've been doing. Here are the areas of opportunities. Here's your coaching session. These are the people that you need to coach, and in the order, and on the things that you need to coach them. Click go. Go ahead and do it. So, Steve, I want to go ahead and ask you a couple questions before we wrap it up. The first one being, what would be the tasks, deliverables, or people involved in setting up ProspectStream so that I can really take advantage of all these advanced features, right? And how long does it typically take to reach full productivity with ProspectStream?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I have to come clean with you, Eddie. It's not light for the administrator. It is a task to do this completely. Now, when you first get the software, you don't have to build it perfectly. Just do the best you can, because most companies don't even have a clearly defined sales process. And we're going to ask you to do that. So you can just give it your best guess. Just try it out, and let it work. And it'll start collecting that data, and you'll start to see what your sales process really is. And hopefully your top salespeople are going to give you the best lessons in this, because they're going to be doing it the way that they're successful. And again, that's where that flexibility is so important. We're not locking them down to, you must click this button right now. So we have a lot of experts, a lot of people that can help you. We're really committed to helping each of our clients get the full value out of it. Now, on the other side of that, the people that really have to live with this, the salespeople, I'll tell you this, Eddie, by just sharing a very short story. A big company not far from our office, about $1 billion company, bought the software. We worked with their admins, got it built. And because they're local, we could go in person down to train their sales force in a fairly large sales force, a big auditorium type room. They're all filing in, and the VP of sales asked me what I wanted for lunch. And this is 8 a.m. And I was a little confused and said, what do you mean? He said, well, we want to get the order now. So it shows up and all that. Doesn't interrupt the training. And I said, we're only going to be here for about an hour. And he's like, I thought this was all day. I said, well, we could do things to kill some time. We'll get some board games or something. It literally takes 45 minutes, and that's me being overly talkative. And they're off and running. There isn't a learning curve, really. Sure, little bits. Where's the go button? What's that big flashing thing doing? It's a little bit about confidence. They probably never had anything that gave them guidance before. So walking, holding their hand through that, but that takes 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, a little bit of friction initially, but once they give it a shot, they're like, hey, it's actually the same process that I've been running. It's just faster. I just need to click instead of saving in a little piece of notepad, dumping it on that. It's Excel spreadsheet cell. So then I think you hit the nail in the head when you said it will take some time for the admins to set it up, build the back end. But once it's done and we just show it to your workforce, hey, come here, 10 minutes. How long does your average call take? 15 minutes? Cool. You're going to go through this training process in 12, in 10 maybe, and then you're out through the races. But when it comes to, let's say, an admin, it's also a fair point. The more mapped out they have their sales process, the faster this is going to go through, because it's just copy pasted into the right fields, let's say, with the assistance of your team. But on average, how long would you say this has taken an admin team? Is it something like a week, 2 weeks, a month? Give us a quick high-level perspective there.
Yeah. So the learning curve for the admin is a bit. Now we have templates for them. The system comes with libraries of where they just have to go in and make selections like the outcomes, and we give them tons of data fields already created, so they're not creating everything from scratch.
And sorry to interrupt you, Steve. Sorry to interrupt. This connects with the CRM originally, or you said the spreadsheet or whatever system they have in place originally, just to pull the initial lead list, or is that something that they start feeding it from different places?
Well, if they're for their customer list or prospect lists, that's a CSV file upload. Okay. So they can load 10 records or 10,000. So it's all the rest of it that takes the time. Some companies have invested in sales playbooks. You can translate that playbook right into the system, and they'll actually start following the playbook. But if they don't, then they have to create it, and we'll work with them with, we have the templates and everything to help them do that. But as a rule of thumb, if they put good effort into it and they use us, it's about a month.
Perfect. And that takes me then to my last question. Once they are fully set in, installed, their team's been using it, what should be the measure of success that managers, sales leaders in these financial institutions and insurance institutions should be using to measure the impact of ProspectStream, and what do you say are the outcomes they should expect?
Yeah. And I appreciate that question, because the system collects so much data that you really now have control over however you want to manage your team and what you want to manage them to. So if you have a business development team, the standard there is obviously much different than the field sales reps.
Right.
So the business development team, you could just measure contacts a day. You could measure conversations a day. I typically like a blend of conversations, leads generated, and records retired or losses. A sales rep with a high loss rate, that's a problem. They'll burn up their database and they won't have anybody else to call. And chances are, loss rate should be consistent across the whole team, unless you gave them the worst possible list. So what the top salesperson is doing in terms of losing records, the worst should be losing at the same percentage. But then in field reps, a CRM, and we can call ourselves an SPM, only gives you, and this assumes that the rep is filling it out, potential revenue, whether they're closed or not. They'll determine what stage it's in, which is not accurate, and then they'll stay there forever. Ours age. So if you haven't moved somebody from a stage, it can age out and actually move backwards automatically.
And the system will bring it up to your to-do list, right? Your working list, so that you actually take action and you don't let it go stale. Exactly. I like it. It seems that we covered the angles, because for the reps, as they use it, their interactions should just streamline a little bit faster. So that's why you mentioned, hey, more interactions, more conversions. But also, if they're chewing from their lead list faster and they're not converting positively, or they're burning too many leads, then there's an issue in the way they're executing the process. And the platform also shows you the data points that you can go ahead and take a look at to fine-tune how you coach them, fine-tune how they execute the process, so they go back to not burning the leads, continue to shoot fast, continue to convert better, hit on the target, get some quality leads, increase velocity in sales, probably increase revenue, right?
Absolutely. And the easy one is to say we'll triple the amount to get done in a day, and it'll be in better quality. So you can figure out what that'll mean to you. That alone should tell the story.
I love it, Steve. Well, awesome. This has been a very interesting session, Steve, where we have seen a couple of different features from ProspectStream that I bet sales leaders from financial institutions, from insurance institutions looking at this episode are going to want to learn more about. So if that's the case, head over to the CloudTools Marketplace and you can learn more about ProspectStream over there. Steve, thank you so much for your time, and I hope to catch you on a future episode.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. This was fun.
Awesome, Steve. I'll catch you soon. Bye-bye.